Oh well, it looks as though that's recording. Hi. Where do I start? In the UK, a few weeks ago, I was talking to a very dear friend of mine. We became friends when I supervised his doctoral thesis about how things are in my retirement. He, by the way, is also an academic. He's a head of school in a university in Ireland. Anyway, and I said, well, yeah, I've got unfinished business. And he said, what's that? And I said, well, I've been struggling all the time that I was teaching, allegedly, strategy, organisational strategy in the business school. I was struggling with the idea of what do you actually do? You know, there are frameworks around. If we take the obvious and really, really well-known ones, frameworks from microeconomics. What can I say? Formalised, if you like, and proselytised by Michael Bloody Porter. These are in the nature of a recipe for strategy. You have some theory about why stuff happens. So that's what theory does, it explains why. You convert that into a series of tools, processes, if you like. So we have a set of tools called the value chain. Take the most significant one, I think. But also other tools of competitor analysis and environment analysis. And those things point you at data or information that you collect or gather. And then kind of, well, once you've got the data, it's easy really, because you just follow what the theory tells you is it. This, by the way, belongs to the notion of strategy as plan. You do all the analysis, you develop a plan, and you implement the plan. And the real strategy stuff, the leadership, the leading of what's going on, it's got nothing to say about it. It's got nothing to say about it. Let's take another strand. Competing for the Future was a really, really interesting book. Hamel and Prahalad had a fascinating thesis which was drawn from observing the practice of companies doing strategy. And they derived a few really, really key ideas. All of them are based on what presuppose an idea of knowledge. And their writing's really interesting to me because they start to talk about the unique knowledge that a business is able to develop or to command within its enterprise, within its industry, and how they can derive advantage from that. That may be a pure cost advantage, but more likely it's an advantage, and this is what they promote, derived from the ability to manipulate that technology that they've developed, or more precisely, to understand the way that that technology fits into the current industry pattern, into the current market spaces. Their thesis is that you don't win in strategy by dominating the product market. You win in strategy by dominating the means of production. And by that, I don't mean the production system. I mean the whole way your production process works, from the initial idea of what might be a product. Actually, let's turn it around. from exploring what it is that you're good at and the way that those things relate to the market and the way in which the market might be changing, how you can review the things that you know and develop new insights. For me, teaching in a business school while all this stuff was being written by clever people and then published in books and then read by me, one of the things that struck me was that it's absolutely core in strategy to understand knowledge. Whoops! No, it's not. It's absolutely core in strategy to understand knowing. Well, what's the difference? What's the distinction? I'm going to start delving into the work of Gregory Bateson here, but for the moment, let me just say something which might be a bit daft, but as we go through these little sessions, I hope become clear. Knowledge does not actually exist, right? Knowledge is something that we speak of. Knowledge is something that we can articulate. We can express some theory. From that theory, we can derive some tools, how to do stuff using that theory. And from that, we can create a prescription of what to do. That is not knowing. Okay? Knowing is an interaction between the things that you are trying to move on, the things that you're trying to achieve, and what you are witnessing in your environment, so that you know how to engage with that environment and re-engage with your process, with your theory. Does that make sense to you? But when I say it, it sounds so bloody simple to me that I've been spending decades thinking about it, but I probably said it too quickly. So, let me try and recap. At the top of the pile, and what any university or business school thrives upon, is, where's my hang on? Not used to doing it with this setup. There, I'm going to say, is knowledge. Knowledge is concepts. Knowledge is ideas. Knowledge is statements of relationships between spoken of theoretical entities, between the names, between things which are named in the conversation, e.g. the competitors. But these are conceptual, theoretical relationships. From those, my coordination is awful, isn't it? And sitting underneath them, we have a set of processes which we can define. These are the ways in which, the formulation of how things get done, given the theory that we're using. Dear, I'm struggling every time I do this, because if you're not used to handling these kind of really abstract ideas, they are rather difficult. When I say it, for you to get it in here. Anyway, so we have some processes. We have some processes which we have derived. This is the list. Sorry, this is what happens when you use this theory. First this, then this, then this, then this, then this. And you use that then to derive your list of things that you need to do. Down there, somewhere, at the bottom. issue, just as I'm struggling to explain these things, is that if we have concepts or words to which we cannot tie them to something, and tie them to something specific, ooh, what's that doing? There are so many ways I can describe what this is. Right now, it's an illustration. Illustration is a generic term for an item which is being used to illustrate something. To give you an example of, to show a relationship. Do you mean it's a telephone? I don't use this as a telephone. This is a SIM store. Because it's old. Right. 11 minutes of nonsense. I'll stop. In the next part, I'm going to really tease you and sizzle your thinking bits, because I want to introduce you to the ideas of Gregory Bateson and what he calls epistemological error. My thesis, my argument is that the whole world of strategy, or strategy teaching I should say, is riddled with epistemological error. And until we are able to engage in facilitating clear thinking without that error, we are going to be poor strategists. Dun, 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 dun. See you later, kids. Goodbye.